Hi there. My name is Evelyn Castillo-Bach. I'm the Executive Director of Balanced Justice Network. And you're not going to believe this. I received a call this morning alerting me to something that happened yesterday, Thursday. Today is Friday, August the 22nd. And the call was to alert me to the fact that a gymnastics coach who had been molesting little girls, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, this gymnastics coach had been working in Key Biscayne, but also different areas in schools in Miami-Dade. And apparently he's been doing this for many, many years. And it's only after, and I have to say, Miami Herald strikes again in terms of excellent reporting and uncovering stuff that we would never find out about if it weren't because of their work, their investigative work. It wasn't, I'm going to read to you from an article in the Miami Herald that was published yesterday. It wasn't until a 2024 Miami Herald investigation uncovered long dormant allegations of sexual abuse from 3 former students that the story grabbed the public and Key Biscayne Police Department attention. This guy had been at it for years. Anyway, here's the deal. This guy got a plea deal. I talk about plea deals a lot. I talk about the fact that prosecutors have the authority and the discretion. They decide what to charge, who to charge, when to charge. They have enormous power. And they also offer plea deals. I say again and again, the plea deal tells story. The plea deal tells story. In this case, the plea deal is a 12 years. He potentially faced 15 years for each count. He has 4 counts that he pleaded guilty to. He molested children. He raped children, okay? And by the way, 2 of these victims of his, one is 28 years old today. The other one is 30 years old. There are others, okay? But these 2 were cited in the Miami Herald article, not by name. But this is something that has destroyed their lives. And this guy gets 12 years. It makes me think that the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office is like a fiefdom. Like, people have their little territories and they do what they want to do. And they, sometimes they prosecute this and sometimes they offer plea deals. Sometimes, it's like a fiefdom. And the more I look into cases, not only the case involving my son, who was sentenced to life after he was offered a 5-year plea deal, which he rejected, believing innocent people don't play plea deals, in a he said, she case when both of them were in their 20s, okay? And she went up to his hotel room, and then she said, it was non-consensual sex, and the sex was rough, and he choked me, and I thought I was going to die, and, obviously the prosecutors thought it merited a 5-year plea deal. It was a one-night stand. They were both staying at the same hotel. And then you see something like this, which a guy has been at this for years, molesting and raping little girls. And when he finally gets caught, okay, they offer him a 12-year plea deal. Okay? Figure that one out for me, would you please? Would you figure that one out for me? As far as I can see, in this Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, prosecutors not only have the power to decide who's going to be charged, but apparently there's no consistency. Somebody might get life. Somebody might get just 12 years. It could be children. It doesn't matter. I don't understand that. I don't get that. There's something wrong with this. Where's the integrity? Where's the ethics? Where are the standards? How does that happen? How does that? And meanwhile, and let's not forget this, meanwhile, they refuse to correct my son's life sentence because we have been able to show that the life sentence was based on a defective verdict form, but they didn't care. We showed that back in 2015. They said it was too bad, too late, go die. Time barred, procedurally barred, which means you should have brought it up before, you didn't. Win some, you lose some, you lost. This is their demeanor. This is their attitude. And now we're back in court because we discovered that one of the jurors, originally we thought it was two jurors, but it turns out that one of the jurors told like half lies, half truth, so we let that case go. But we have another juror that clearly lied during voir dire, which is a process when you select a jury. It's a very important part of our democracy. It's a very important part of our judicial system. You can't just lie. You have to be, you're supposed to be balanced. You're supposed to have an open mind when you try cases. You're not supposed to come in with certain biases and prejudices, and certainly you're not supposed to lie. But anyway, despite all that, besides this entire history of my son's case, where all kinds of things that should not have happened in terms of prosecutorial abuse, okay, and overreach, because that's what we're talking about, prosecutorial abuse and overreach. They refuse to admit error. They refuse to conduct themselves like an ethical organization that engages in authentic conviction review. I mean, they say they do a conviction review, but you're not doing conviction review when the same prosecutor who prosecuted my son is the same prosecutor today, who's, by the way, is now raised in rank and is in senior management level, okay, that she's the same one who's blocking justice. She's blocking a balanced solution to this. She wants to fight this. She wants my son to die in prison on a he said, she said, with no weapons, no drugs, no gangs, no trafficking. And you want him to die in prison because you won by a mistake that was made and duplicated and not caught. And now we have another problem with the case, which is this juror that lied. And despite all that, this prosecutor, whose name is Zalaban, okay, she refuses. She feels like, no, he's got to die in prison. He's got to pay for what he did. Pay for what he did? Really? Your prosecutor office offers plea deals to child rapists. Meanwhile, in other cases, you look the other way. You don't charge anything at all. Give me a break. I mean, what is going on with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office? I mean, seriously, what is going on? Yesterday I did a podcast about the boating accident that killed, pardon me, the boating accident in Key Biscayne that killed a girl 3 years ago, this Labor Day weekend that'll be coming in a couple of weeks. And the captain of the ship, or actually the boat, because it was a boat, not a ship, the captain of that boat is now facing 2 felony charges, one for manslaughter and another very serious felony charge. But initially, okay, like for more than a year or so, it was a misdemeanor. And why was it a misdemeanor charge? Well, you can listen to my reporting, my last podcast, but again, based on Miami-Dade reporting, this is not Evelyn just, I'm over here blabbering because I feel like it. I base my comments and my observations on reporting that has met a very high standard. And when I quote the Miami Herald, it's because they have won an award or recognition for that particular report. They are meticulous. They don't go after the state attorney. They don't report on things that can be perceived as favoritism and bias without running their stories through multiple lawyers. So I am very confident that what they're reporting is actually quite accurate. And thanks to them, we know what we know about how the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office works, in particular how the leader makes decisions or doesn't make decisions, as the case may be. One thing is for sure, this office needs a serious fixing, okay? And you can't fix a problem by relying on the people who are part of the problem. That doesn't happen that way. You don't correct a miscarriage of justice like what happened in my son's case by allowing the original prosecutor, whose ego invested, because that's the other thing that happens is when prosecutors decide they're going to prosecute you, it's extremely rare to find a prosecutor who will openly admit that that should not have happened. That was wrong. Now, such prosecutors do exist. I just haven't seen an example of that in this state attorney's office in Miami-Dade. I haven't seen it. I read about it in other prosecutors around other parts of the United States, and they are really an asset because they bring honor and prestige to the role of prosecutors. I mean, it really is an honorable profession. But if you abuse that power so that you can feel like you're a grand person, so that you can distribute punishment or grace on your mood or your attitude, now we have a problem. No problem. My name is Evelyn Castillo-Bach, Executive Director of Balanced Justice Networks. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and stay with me to the end. I appreciate you. Be well. Thank you.